Hello and welcome to another episode of the Investor Financing Podcast. And I'm your host, Beau Eckstein. And on today's show, we have another great guest. We're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about finding deals. We're going to talk about, getting started. We're going to talk about, maybe you have one or two properties and you want to take it to the next level. We're going to talk about a lot of things real estate related, financing, what markets, how to get started, how to start finding deals, really just a deep dive and overall show geared towards helping the listeners out there, take the next step in wherever they're at in their journey, whether they have 20 or 30 units, or maybe they don't have their first unit. And that's kind of our passion. Talking to Marco before we went live, I could sense that he has the same passions that I do, that we like to help people. We like to talk about investing. We like to do investing, and that's what the show is about today. So we're going to dive into the weeds here. Marco Barnes Jr., currently living and based out of Columbia, South Carolina. He's an experienced real estate investor who focuses on teaching, coaching, and speaking to others on the benefits of acquiring real estate, creating lifelong cash flow, entrepreneurship, and personal wealth creation. Marco has spent 25 years in the finance arena, working with major Wall Street mergers and acquisition firms down to banking giants such as Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, and Bank of America. Marco has bought and sold personally over $15 million in real estate and overseen loans in excess of $150 million in assets. Marco acquires SFRs for cash flow and Airbnb opportunities. Current niche, 5 to 30 units, apartment buildings. He consults on deal acquisition and in maximizing profits. He also helps arrange financing for investors. Optimize Investors was created as a way for those interested in real estate investing to have a place to come together with like-minded individuals to learn, strategize, network, and grow their business as true real estate investors. All right, welcome to the show. That was a great bio. I'm excited to have you on the show, and let's get started. But first off, why don't you give us a little bit of background from where you came from, your banking world, and what really got you into the real estate realm and into your mentoring and coaching and acquisitions that you do today?
All right. Well, again, Beau, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate this, man. And again, listeners, definitely follow this man, okay? What got me started, man, is I got fired. At age 50, they told me that they could find somebody younger, somebody better to do my job. And I had gave this company in corporate America almost 15 years of my life. Just happened to be talking to another gentleman who had been doing real estate and was doing very well. And he's like, Marco, you're a numbers guy. You should, look at this stuff and it should come very easy to you. And where I started, man, the very first property I bought was in what we can say a not so nice neighborhood. Cut my teeth on that. And believe it or not, I made $60,000 profit on my very first deal. From there, it just opened my eyes and I haven't looked back. So it's been a great opportunity, and it's been a great journey.
I love it. I mean, I see it so often that people in the corporate world, they devote their life to this company, and the company, they downsize or whatever happens. And I think that's the importance, people, if you're listening to the show, is the average millionaire has 7 streams of income, right? So just start adding streams of income, but knowing that at some point it's better to be your own boss. Let's face it, there's no other better opportunity. And I look at I have friends that come from other countries. Actually, my wife's from Mexico, and one of her good friends is from Cuba. And she was telling my wife about they have to wait in line for hours to get toilet paper. And the point I'm trying to stress here is we live in a country that there's a lot of opportunity, but you have to open up your mind for the opportunity out there. There's a lot of opportunity, but you have to get on podcasts, open up your mind to what's available. And at 50 years old, when this happened to you, you were probably kind of shocked at first, but so you did your first deal, and then you got the taste of this 60 grand, right? It's just okay, this is good. So that, what was the next steps in your journey? What happened from there?
Okay. Well, from there, oftentimes new people who get into real estate think they can do this on their own. And don't get me wrong. Yes, you can do real estate by yourself. But what I found is I actually found a mentor, a coach, and a group of people that I surrounded myself with who had been doing this for a lot longer than I had. And learning from their experiences, learning from their mistakes, getting to understand questions that I had on how to do deals, how to find properties, how to finance properties, how to talk to other people who had money. All of that exponentially grew my growth. So from there, I was able to start scaling pretty quickly. And that's what this business is about. If you want to treat it as a business, you have to be able to scale. And that's what people don't realize. They think if I buy one property, in a cash flow, and if I make a couple of $100 over the mortgage payment, I'm making a profit. But they're really not, because that's really not utilizing your investment.
That's right. You're exactly right. I was just looking at it. I always tell people, listen, what is your financial freedom number to get away from your day-to-day job, right? Like, what is that? Is some people have pretty lavish lifestyles, and they might be 15, 20 grand a month to cover their insurance, their kids, their everything, right? Some people can live for 5,000 or 7,000, but add up what you spend every month, including fund money, etc. And I think the step is, how do you start getting that passive reoccurring revenue coming in? And at some point, that passive income can eliminate your day job. I don't always suggest quitting your day job right off the bat, just because it's easier to get some financing. But right now we have these financing tools out there where they just look at the cash flow. They don't look at your income. You don't have DTI issues. There's really no excuses. And also, if your credit's not good right now, work on your credit, because your credit is super important if you're getting these 30-year portfolio rental loans, because they base it on credit score. But I think there's a lot to be said about just growing it, because you're right. Like, if your plan is to, like, I'm on the West Coast, if I just went and bought 2 properties in Indiana, let's say, and I was making $400 a property cash flow, that's not really moving the needle. So I need to, if I'm going to keep in the 2 to 4 unit properties, I need to get 20 or 30 of those properties, right? And that's why people scale into multifamily. And I think that's where your current focus is, in multifamily. Why don't you talk to us about kind of like the niche you see in the 5 to 30 units, and why you really like that target market?
Okay. Well, it's funny. I was talking to a peer one day, and again, he kept saying, Marco, you're a finance guy. What's the difference between a 4 unit and a 5 unit? I said, well, one's residential, one's commercial. He's like, come on. He's like, everybody knows that. But when you break down the numbers, that's where it starts to make a difference. What most people don't realize is a 4-plex is residential property. So the value is based on other comps in your area. Whereas a 5 unit, which is 1 unit more, yes, you do cross that line into commercial property, but remember, commercial property is income producing. So if you have to go to the bank and get some money out of that property, on the 4-plex, the bank is only going to take 75% of that because it's residential. On the flip side, the 5 unit, now you're looking at something where they can take 90 to 95% of that as income, because you can always raise the rents. So you produce money. Another thing, which is also key, what a lot of people don't realize, in that 5 to 30 unit area that I'm focusing on, who owns those? Mom and pop. Yeah. There you go. So they're used to creative financing. They're used to negotiating and maybe doing a seller carry on some of that financing. So you don't have to go to the bank and get all of that financing.
That's great. And I was listening to one of your podcasts earlier today. Oh. I think I'd like to discuss, you were talking about strategies, like the different, like I always talk about tools in your tool belt, right? You need to know subject to, you need to know seller finance, you need to know, because there's ways of buying property with none of your own money, but it's really about being a deal architect and knowing these tools. So can you kind of elaborate on on like building your skill sets, these tools, so you can figure out how to get these deals closed, right?
Yeah. Well, again, like you said, you definitely got to educate yourself. This is an industry that's constantly changing. You know, interest rates go up and down. Different, laws are coming into place. I know COVID affected a lot of people. So you have to be able to be flexible and make sure you have options. Like you mentioned, subject to, that means buying a property subject to the existing mortgage. That's an easy way to pick up property because you're right. It doesn't require any credit, requires very little amount of your actual cash to do. But it's a tricky thing to do because you got to make sure the contract is right and make sure you don't violate any of the bank's rules for qualification. Otherwise, the bank can do what's called an acceleration and you owe all that money. Okay. Like you said, seller financing. A lot of people talk about it, but people really don't understand what that means. That means the seller is being the bank. They're going to hold the note on that property for you so that you can, pay them every month until you pay them off, either cash them out by getting a bank loan or, maybe you hit the lottery and you just get some money and you just buy that property out. But what you're saying is so true. Oftentimes when people buy property, they don't think of the tools until after they've bought the property. When I talk to people, I always say, how are you getting your money out of this deal? You should know that before you sign on the dotted line. Because when you have strategies ahead of time, when it's time to get out, or if something happens and you have to make a quick decision, if you've already thought of your exit strategies ahead of time, that gives you so much more leverage and more peace at night to sleep.
What do you like right now? Like, it is somewhat of a competitive market right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you like to find your deals? What's your go-to? I mean, I think part of it is just looking at deals, right? You have to be on the MLS, you have to be on Zillow, but you also have to have maybe some off market, some wholesaler relationships. Where do you focus your deal flow finding from?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, now you're in California, so you know the properties out there are pretty expensive.
I moved to Las Vegas 2 years ago. I live in
Okay,
Vegas
so you're
now.
in Vegas. Okay, all right.
Now I am.
All right.
Yeah, I was in California. I had to get out of there.
Hey, trust. But I like the Midwest only because working class people. So a lot of places you can find good rentals. Like I focus a lot right now in Ohio. Ohio's a real good hotbed. I got properties in Dayton. I have properties in Cincinnati. But all of Ohio is really a good area, and prices are affordable. What it cost you, 500,000 on the West Coast might cost you anywhere from 75 to 150,000 in Ohio. Okay, so if you've got capital, it's a good way for you to maximize that capital.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. I like the Midwest. I own some properties in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 properties in contract in Pennsylvania right now, another good cash flowing market.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where else can you buy properties? I'm buying a duplex right now for 106,000, which is grosses about 1,700 in gross rents.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm buying a fourplex for 94,500 right now. And it's like, I mean, you just can't get those numbers anywhere. Now, I might not get the same appreciation in those markets, but I'm really looking at it as a cash flow. I want the cash flow. Appreciation is great. I think some people don't necessarily need the cash flow. They need the tax deductions. Then maybe they're a high paid W-2 employee. But for me, I really want cash flow. That's my focus. Get the cash flow just coming in where I have surplus of cash flow and I can just basically reinvest that cash flow. That's the goal of what I'm looking for. But yeah, it helps mitigate, you own real estate, you pay less in taxes. If you're a real estate professional, you have additional write-offs. I mean, there's so many advantages. You have a tenant paying your mortgage off. And right now rates are still, even though rates have gone up, they're still pretty good. So if you can lock in 30-year debt right now and cash flow, you're looking good. So I like the Midwest a lot. I would say my challenges is I'm I'm in Las Vegas and buying there, but you got to build the systems, the remote systems. You got to get the right team, the boots on the ground, the management in place. But once you do that, it's pretty passive.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. It's about having that network. And that's what I said earlier. A lot of people think I can do this on my own. And like I said, it's not that you can't do it on your own. It's just, it takes a lot more. And you have to build that team. You have to put all the pieces in place. So if you have the time to do that, then it can be done. But if you're a working professional and you're trying to break away from your day-to-day, then there's only so many hours in a day. So that's where that team comes into play. Yeah, I have people in the Midwest that send me deal opportunities, deal information, and I'm in South Carolina behind my desk. You'll agree with this. This is a business of activity. So the more that my cell phone rings, the more that people bring me opportunities, that's what opens the door for me to do different things in different places. Now, when you do things in different places, like you said, you have to have boots on the ground. You have to have people that you trust, more so than anything, people that you trust, but people that are going to be reliable so that they can get the things done that need to be done so those deals can continue to move. You mentioned a very key thing. You said you're creating cash flow. So for you, you're right. Appreciation doesn't matter because this may be something that you got kids.
Not yet. I got married at 42. I'm 44. So
all right.
My wife's younger, so I have a couple of years. I'll be an old dad, but it's okay.
Well, but what I'm saying is the appreciation may not be as important to you because this may be something that you're building that you might want to pass down. So at that point, that's when the appreciation is going to matter. Okay. But like you said, right now, cash flow is king. That allows you to have the freedom to do the different things you want to do. I mean, last year, man, I went to 5 different places. I went to Seattle, Washington. I was in Omaha, Nebraska. I was in Louisville, Kentucky. I was in Cincinnati and Dayton, Ohio. And you're right. All those trips were written off. It's a business expense. It's what I do. But all I had with me each time was my laptop and my cell phone. That's true financial freedom.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's like the advantage of having your own business is it's, I always try to, like my brother makes a lot of money as a W-2 employee, a lot of money. And I look at about how much he pays in taxes. And I'm like, man, like, it's great. You make so much money and you're set, you're going to be set no matter what, but you could probably be 5X, 10X where you're at if you just applied some of these real estate protocols, and he, hopefully at one point he gets it. Cause it's this, like, you're just you're paying a couple $100,000 a year to the government, and you could probably take that money and get some short-term rentals and get some write-offs and potentially write it off against your earned income, your W-2 income. And then now you own a bunch of these vacation properties that are appreciating over time, they're cash flowing, and you're just creating even more wealth. And so that's what I like to do too, is like, people need to be educated on this stuff, because my brother's super smart. And he's a financial whiz, but he's in that space, and he doesn't look at the real estate space. And I think it's good. You need a little of his knowledge. You need a little of the real estate knowledge. I mean, you need knowledge in general. I mean, I think people, not only is real estate investing, but you should look at owning businesses too, that you could be semi-passive in. So I'm interested in all of that stuff, because at the end of the day, we're here for a very short time on this planet.
Yes.
And you can either live in abundance or not live in abundance. And the real estate up here is what you have to really focus on. And I think that's why you need to be around people that mentor you and motivate you and hold you accountable.
You're listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, this is Beau Eckstein, host of the Investor Financing Podcast. I appreciate you checking out our channel. On this podcast, we talk about real estate, investing, financing, business lending, and acquiring and expanding your business. I'm sure you will find some videos here that will help you build your business empire. There's a lot to see. Take your time and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks again. So why don't we talk about how you've been helping some of your students and clients, people, they come to you, obviously they're they might have money, or maybe they, they're trying to get ahead in life. So where does the mentoring start with these type of people that come to you?
Well, it starts with understanding what it is they're trying to accomplish. For instance, let's say a doctor comes to me. A doctor works 60 hours a week. They don't have the time to go out and actually look for properties. So what I try to do is I try to match them up with people who are good in real estate and have a lot of time, but may not have capital. So, you hear that term OPM, okay? And it's kind of like what you just talked about with your brother. People who make great income, but don't have a lot of time. So if you can match that person up with somebody who does have time, or who's a contractor, or just good at finding good deals, you put the two together. The doctor is rewarded because his income can now be utilized to get those tax advantages you just talked about that your brother may not see, okay? So the doctor sees that. The person who didn't have the money is now able to be a cash buyer on properties, which now, as you know, might move them to the front of the line in a deal scenario where there's a lot of bidding going on, okay? So the two working together can still learn and grow, and both benefit because they each bring what they have to the table. So it's a matter of doing that. Now, of course, if the doctor is not experienced in real estate and the newbie, yeah, they found the deal, but they don't know how to price it and market it. Yeah, somebody like me can come in and maybe bridge that gap and help both of them understand how to move forward and continue to build and grow this out. So that's what I do a lot of. I do a lot of teaching and educating and helping people understand the nuances of the deals, how to find them. If the person is financing it, how to finance it and get their money out of it. The person doing the deal, how they can take care of the person that put the money up, but also profit from the deal themselves. So it's just a matter of bringing the two together, helping each other understand what they need, what they want, and build and grow it out from there.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, I think you're like a real estate facilitator, right?
Yes.
This person, and you help people guide, because so I got started in real estate at a very early age, and I've always been pretty much self-employed since I was 19 or 20, which is a blessing.
Yes.
It's not that it's been easy. I've struggled. And then I owned a lot of real estate during the downturn, and I didn't understand real estate like I do today. And that was a very tough time, not just for me, but for many millions of people across the nation. And that was very hard. But going forward now, it's like you really gotta like see how all the pieces. It's like a puzzle. It's a puzzle. So when I picked myself back up and said, okay, what am I going to do with my life? I don't have a college degree. All I've ever done is real estate, but I just basically got my butt kicked, right? And I was pretty depressed and I was in my 20s. I always say it was like an early midlife crisis. But I only had two options, right? Like submit and go get a job, or dig my heels in and grit it out. And that's what I did. And but the point I was trying to get to is I had bad credit at the time. This is 2007. My credit was shot because I had a bunch of foreclosures. I sold what I could. Had a bunch of charge-offs, credit card debt, all that stuff. So it was like in the worst position ever. I mean, financially. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in worse. Just go drive around the downtown areas of many places in our communities and look at all these homeless people. I mean, they have it a lot worse than I ever did. But in my mind, it was the most horrible thing. But what did I do? I picked myself up. I found a contractor partner who could rebuild these houses. We're in the biggest foreclosure boom of our lives. And then I found a money partner. So I bought lots and lots of houses with none of my own money. I'm just trying to stress the point. It's that there's no I in team, right? You got to build these teams, and maybe you have the capital, or maybe you have the knowledge, or maybe you're the contractor type. Find the other people on the team. And what I'm hearing you say is you help people put the teams together and move this forward. So that's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, the whole thing with real estate investing is surround yourself, like you said, with that team, with those, I hear a lot of people come to the table and they say that, oh, Marco, my credit is bad. Or, oh, Marco, I'm going to save up my money until, I have a big enough down payment to do a deal. And I said, why are you waiting? because every day you wait, that's every deal you miss.
Exactly.
Okay. So understanding that terminology, OPM, other people's money, there's money out there, because just like you mentioned your brother, there are people who really don't understand how real estate can really benefit them. Okay. So doctors, nurses, IT people, entrepreneurs, they're so locked into their business, but again, they could use some tax benefits. They have good cash if their business is successful. So there's a lot of people in our own backyard sometimes that we totally miss because we're so here. But if we open our minds up, you'll find that these people may come to the table. Now, sometimes, if you say, oh, my uncle, he's pretty well off, I can't go talk to him because he knows who I am. Well, I understand that. But like I always say, when it comes to business, conduct yourself as a professional. So you would approach that person as a professional with a strategy, with a plan, showing the numbers of how to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Now, they still may say no, but hey, that gives you one person to practice with that there's total comfort with. So that when you go talk to a stranger, now it becomes second nature.
And I think that's a valuable point too, is it's okay for people to say no. A lot of us out there are like, so, the first person you approach, they say no, and then you stop doing whatever you're doing because you got to know. You got to look at this like, if you want to change where you're at, you have to understand that people are going to say no. People aren't going to necessarily agree with your investing philosophies, and they're not going to want to do business with you. And then there's going to be other people that do. And so what's the harm in sale? And I've been in sales my whole life pretty much. So I only could eat when I,
there you go.
when I killed the hunt, when I killed the pig, I could eat. And if I didn't, you go hungry. And so, I've been in that sales role for a long time. And what you learn is that it's okay for people to say no. I always be transparent, honest. And, my number one thing when I borrow somebody's money is protect the investor's capital, right? Like that's the end of the day. The deal doesn't work as planned, because sometimes deals are thorns in your side. If you're doing a lot of deals, you're going to have some deals that are like, you have to work out some issues. Things don't go right. The construction budget goes a lot higher. But it's really about the grit. So many investors that have been around for a while, they can tell you about downturns. They can tell you about problems they had to work out. A lot of people that got in real estate recently have just seen good gains and so forth. And so I don't know, you gotta be able to grit it out and keep learning. Like I've been doing real estate for 20 something years and I still learn to this day, and I'll never stop learning. And that's the beauty of this business. Whatever you put into it, you get back out. So if you spend your time listening to mentors and so forth, go to events, get the right mentorship, you're going to be way farther ahead. And I just read the book, and I love this book for 2022. I didn't read it. I listened to it on Audible. It's called Who Not How. So if you want to be a good real estate investor, go find that mentor that's legitimately doing deals and can get you to where you want to go, right? Like instead of you trying to there's like an easy way of doing things and there's a hard way of doing things. And that's my 2022 is the who, not the how. Like find the best of the best that can help me grow my business, whether that's tax planners, real estate agents, wholesalers, lenders. Get that team built. And if you don't have time, find somebody that can help you do that.
Well, what is it that successful business people always say? I may not be the smartest person in the room, but I will surround myself with those people that are smart in the areas that I'm not. And for some reason, when it comes to real estate investing, and I don't know if we just got caught up in that no money down syndrome, that people, I'll give you a good example. As you know, a lot of people are sitting on home equity lines of credit. So they have cash. And let's say they live in New York, and they'll say, oh, babe, let's go make an investment down in Florida on the beach. We'll go buy a condo. Well, buying a condo that's not really an investment as per se. That's a second home. Okay. An investment is, hey, how am I going to cash flow this? How much money is it going to make me? What's the appreciation like in the area? So I can see if I need to sell it in 3 years, 2 years, 5 years. Hey, if the market turns and I can't get rented out, is it in a good location to become an Airbnb? Now, notice what I just did. I just gave all these options on a single purchase. Okay. But notice they were each options to help you figure out how to get your money out.
Mm-hmm.
But what these people, what people are doing, and that's what's driving the markets up, is people who are sitting on this home equity line of credit cash. They want to buy a property. They want that property so bad. Well, I'm not going to be outbid. So they just keep driving the prices up. So yeah, so now you buy this condo, you paid $50,000 over market. Okay. Then the market turns on you. You're in the hole big time. Okay. Whereas if, like you mentioned, Indiana, if I go to Indiana and let's just say, and people don't realize this, let's just say I buy a home for $25,000. Okay. If the market turns against me, I paid $25,000 cash. I'm getting $800 a month rent on it. I can hold that property 5, 10, 15 years if the market turns against me. Yep. The whole time getting that gradual appreciation.
Yeah, I bought one, I think like 3 or 4 years ago in Indiana, and it was a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow, like 700 square feet. The guy, I ended up buying it for $9,600. Mm-hmm. I swiped it on my credit card, yep. Pretty much, yep. Yep. I put in $5,000 to make it rent ready. Mm-hmm. And it's been rented out for the last, 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. The same person, I get $700 a month in rent, mm-hmm. right? On a $15,000 all in. And now it's worth $50,000. Mm-hmm. So even if you don't have a lot of money, you can find stuff like that once in a while, right? But I had a website, a lead generation website. They were very motivated, mm-hmm. and I was able to negotiate a good deal. And it's not like in a war zone. It's just a working class area. It's a C area, but still, the point is that every month, I get a check for $700, right? Every month, right? So you do that 10 times, there's $70,000 a year right there. Yeah. So that just replaced your W-2 job as a school teacher or whatever. So, and it's not that difficult, right? You could scale that up pretty quickly. Not that there's just so many options out there, and I like that concept. And I think you can have a balanced portfolio. You can have some Midwest properties. You can have a vacation rental property. I always tell people on vacation rentals, because right now everybody's talking about how much money they're making in cash flow on their Airbnbs. But just the thing with that, I say just stress test it, meaning you're running 75% occupancy. What happens at 55 or 60%? Do you still break even or cash flow? Because we're in a weird time of COVID, so maybe the occupancy levels are going to drop and the average daily rate is going to drop a little bit, as people start traveling international again and things like that. So you just always want to have your options. Going back to what you said, why am I buying this? If I had to convert it back to a long-term rental, what would that look like? And just know your worst case scenarios. And if you do that, you'll never get put in a position like I was in 2007, because I was speculating and buying properties that I thought were going to just keep on going up in value, which at some point the music stops and you got to know. And so we'll see some pain coming, I think, here in the next year or two. But like I said, none of us have a crystal ball. I would have never thought that the market would still be appreciating like it is right now. It's been like a 12-year run. Usually, right. Mm-hmm. History says 7 years, and usually you have a market kind of correction. So we're in uncharted waters right now, but there's always, in an up market, down market, there's always opportunity. And that's what I love about real estate.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I have so many people say that, 2008 crushed a lot of people. And I know it did. I mean, I was part of that as well. I worked in the banking industry, so I got to see everything that was kind of going on in that time, but whether the market in real estate is up or down, you're right. There's always opportunity. You just have to be able to tap into that opportunity and make the most of it. Yes, sometimes are going to be better for you to buy more and more property because the rates are low, or property values have dipped or whatever. So you might be able to pick up some properties. And then there'll be times where properties are high and you'll buy less maybe in those markets. But what I love about real estate is it's the great equalizer. I can go sit in a room with a multi-million-dollar real estate investor. Because of the team that I've put together, I can put my presentation together, have my numbers, and go in there and knock the socks off. Now, the multi-million-dollar real estate investor might, and I say might, beat me only because their name is bigger than mine. But other than that, even playing field. And I love that. I love that. So the only thing stopping a deal from becoming a deal is you having enough nerve to go out there and talk to the people and make it happen.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. Well, I want to be conscious of your time. We could probably talk all day about real estate, but if people want to learn more about you, where should we have them find you?
All right. Well, thank you for that. They can definitely find me on my website. My website is optimizedinvestors.com. And, I also have a bookstore. It's called Mar Books. That's MARBAR books.com, because I write about what we're talking about here as well. So you can either go to my website or, like I said, look me up at the bookstore. So I appreciate that, Beau.
All right. Thanks so much. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this show as much as I did. I think we talked about a lot. I hope we motivated you to make some moves, and we'll see you on the next episode. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, guys.
Take care, everybody.